Hi, Terry. Oh,
I do need to say, it looks like I think we have quorum without me, which is good because I'm in New York right now. So as far as I understand it, it's fine for me to vote. I just can't be part of the quorum.
yes, you are.
Why not?
You are.
I think
because you're
I don't
here,
think it matters where
virtually
you are.
here.
Doesn't
I
matter
think
where you are.
according to Brown Act, you have to be in the jurisdiction in order to
No, you
be
don't.
part of the
The
original quorum.
G7 couldn't meet by Zoom.
But you
It's-
are, Henry.
Oh, okay.
You're virtually within us. Within.
Oh, okay, great.
You're
All right.
here.
You're votable. You're very votable because of the resolution that is just about to be passed. You are then considered a member and present.
Right.
Yes.
So having said that, Mary, let's call the meeting to order. Okay.
I did it at 03.
So
Would you rather do it? Would you rather do it at 05, Robert?
what did you say? Oh, 05 is fine. Is 05.
Very
6:05.
well. I will
Okay.
change the 03 to an 05 and you have it down.
So we'll call the meeting to order. First, we'll vote on the required resolution of the Walla Municipal Advisory Council authorizing remote teleconference meetings of the legislative body of the Walla Municipal Advisory Council pursuant to the Ralph Brown Act. So,
I'll make a motion that we accept that.
okay, thanks, Melissa. Who would like to second that? Looks like Dan. Okay, let's take a voice vote. Melissa,
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Henry,
Aye.
Kevin,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
and Robert. I'm an aye. Okay, thanks. We'll move on to introductions and announcements. Audience members, do we need to introduce anybody other than our, let me see, we have Terry Fardrescher, Dunya Alwan is an applicant. Travis, we know. Who else? I guess that, oh, there's JD. Maybe the sheriff will be with us later too. I don't know.
He will not be able to join this evening.
No, JD, okay. Well, at least we have you. Okay, then let's move on to the consent agenda. We have first on the agenda, the approval of the minutes from July 7th, 2022. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes, or do we need to review anything or edit anything on that?
So moved.
So moved, Dan? Okay, thanks. Do we have a second?
Second.
Kevin seconds the approval of the meeting minutes from July. So we'll take a vote. Melissa,
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Henry,
Aye.
Kevin,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
and Robert. I'm an aye. Okay, so let's move on to correspondence. Mary, I see we have down below on the agenda, permit review assignments, and we have the Salmer Horn CDPB boundary line adjustment listed. Was that some correspondence that came in?
That came in 2 months ago and it did not make the agenda last month. It was completely forgotten and I should have put it on and it slipped completely. It's all
Okay.
me. So it should go on. Yes, sir.
Should that go on as correspondence?
It was on a while back and I
Oh.
just put it on correspondence again. And it is down at the assignments below.
Okay, so we'll leave it just below then. What about, I noted today on the Building and Planning Department website that there was the CD PM, Coastal Development Permit Modification, Cuesta. Should we list that as correspondence, or are you waiting for something to come in the mail?
I have not received anything of that type in the mail, no. And I was down to the mail about 3 o'clock this afternoon. Nothing, zero.
Okay, so we'll wait on that as far as correspondence goes. However,
Yes,
we could address it if we wanted to down at under permit review assignments, since I saw it on the website.
I know nothing about it at
Okay.
all, and I didn't go to the website at all. I'm hoping that it arrived. If it doesn't arrive by the 20th or the 25th, we can always put it on the agenda next month and ask the planner why it was not put on the website.
Okay, so as far as the
I mean, mailed to us, I apologize.
Right, right.
Mailed to us.
So as far as mail correspondence, we have the CDP Jackson, which we're going to look at later on under permit review assignments, and we have Terry Fardrescher's letter that
That is
everybody
correct.
should have received, a THP eradication of slash.
Yes.
It's on the agenda, so it's not a non-agenda item, I guess. So if Terry wanted to say something at this point, I guess she could. About
At
that.
a point when it's going to be taken up on the agenda.
We don't really have a point on the agenda that it's going to be taken up, do we?
Well, it's about fire, is it not?
Yeah, but I don't see where that would fall under.
Well, it's under the
I don't-
under the Walla Services Committee, because the fire department or
Well, let me-
under the THP, that is the letter to THP G, Council Matters 7, and G, drafting a letter regarding THPs.
Oh, you want to put it under that, council members?
Because it is about the fire that she tried to, that threatened her house, and she tried to get someone to at least take notice of it, and she had a very difficult time, including CAL FIRE, even doing anything about it.
I'm gonna say that it was correspondence. And Terry made sure she sent it to all of us council members. And if she wanted to talk about it a little bit further, other than just having sent it to us, she could do so now, if you're ready to do that, Terry. Is she still with us?
She
She's
could do
here.
it at,
You need to unmute yourself, Terry.
she could do it at the non-agenda items at the public input
Okay.
right after you vote the agenda.
Let's do that.
And
Let's
she
do
could also,
that.
she could also discuss it when we discuss CAL FIRE's perfidy in their dealings with us.
Right, that's what I was saying, 7G.
You're,
She could say something now and then. That's my opinion.
True.
okay, well, let's just acknowledge as having received her correspondence, and we'll go on to approving the agenda or discussing that. I would like to add on the agenda under permit review assignments that we look at that coastal development permit modification Cuesta 2022-0004, since I saw it on the website of the Mendocino County Building and Planning. Anybody have an objection against that? We could assign it.
Sounds good.
Okay, so add that as item C under permit review assignments. And any other adjustments to the agenda? None? Okay. Then let's have a motion to approve tonight's agenda. Anybody want to make that motion?
I
Move to
move to approve tonight's agenda.
Okay, I heard you, Don. Do you want to second that, Henry?
Second.
Second by Henry. Okay, let's take a voice vote. Melissa, Dan? Dan still with us?
Yeah, he's on mute.
Dan,
I'm asked-
Yes, aye.
you are aye on approving agenda as amended, okay? Henry,
Aye.
okay, Kevin,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
and Robert, aye. Okay, Mary, we've approved the agenda as amended.
Hey,
Um,
Robert,
Yeah,
can I probably should have brought this up under the approval of the agenda. Because Miss Alwan is on the East Coast, is there any way that we can have the law enforcement report after her item?
what time is it on the East Coast?
Well, add 3 hours.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so we're at 9 o'clock.
9 something.
JD,
So
what do you think?
out of courtesy to her, if
Yeah.
JD doesn't have a problem, I'd
No-
like to
no
go ahead
objection
and do
here.
her item.
No objection.
Okay, if all the council members agree, we can do so.
Agreed.
As somebody who's also on the East Coast right now.
Oh, yeah,
I
that's true.
understand.
Hey, JD, how long is your report tonight? 10 minutes?
I doubt it'll even be 10 minutes, Robert, but
Okay.
go ahead.
Why don't we
here to
let
wait.
Kevin, why don't we let JD go and then we'll be done shortly here.
And we also have Mr. Kilmer here. He might want to say something about disaster.
Wait till
Well,
other people go. No worries. I don't have to be anywhere.
okay. It's up to the council. What do you think?
I think if JD's report is relatively quick, I think we can just proceed with that and then move on.
Okay, let's do that.
Whoa.
So we're not moving the CDP.
Let's stay with agenda and listen to our law enforcement report.
Done.
All right, is that a go?
That's a go, JD.
All right.
Oh,
Thank
well,
you, Robert.
you need to vote that. Was it all voted? I don't think that all the members voted.
Well, we just sticking with the agenda as it's
No
written,
reason for a vote.
as we agreed on, Mary. That's all we're doing.
Except the permit review looking at 2022 0004 CDP at the permit review down below.
We've already voted on the agenda as amended, yes.
Okay,
So we're just going on with it.
very
We'll be
well.
right, we'll be right with the CDP.
What about public input?
Thank you. Yes. Do we have any public input on non-agenda items? That would be actually where Terry would fall in if she wants, or if she wants to wait a little bit. How long do you want to speak for, Terry?
I'm good to wait.
Okay. You're local, so let's move on. Let's listen to JD since he might be calling a call out or something, who knows, and then we'll move on to the CDP. Thanks, you guys.
All right, no call out yet, so knock
Okay,
on wood.
good.
It definitely has been a busy last couple of weeks for the sheriff's office. And in relationship to Wallala, it's been pretty low key. We've had somewhere in the vicinity, and I'm just coming in off the street here to get a chance to really get into the details of calls for service for the last period for reporting. But I do know we had somewhere in the area of 25 calls per service in Wallace. That's about average. In the nature type of the calls included, I know we had one domestic violence incident. We had an assault. We had a suspicious circumstance situation, welfare check, an unwanted subject call, as well as a trespass, and also an unlawful camping we had today down there. Aside from that, I think, we're low as far as calls for service goes on the South Coast in general. And that's really what I can provide you for a report. Apologize, not more detailed. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Yeah, JD, can you give a brief review of what happened at Hearn Gulch recently?
Can you give me a little bit of information on that?
There was something in the paper, I think it was today, that yeah, the sheriff was there. I don't know whether somebody
So
rescued or what.
It was a rescue
Was it
down
rescued?
the cliff or something. It was in the paper. Hearn Gulch.
and that occurred, confirming that occurred today, Dawn?
No, it was,
Anyway,
was last-
something critical.
a recovery
So-
operation at Hearn Gulch on Sunday afternoon. I'm
Okay,
reading
so
from the
I believe that one might be related to a coroner's investigation. And that's what that call is around. So it might have been in a sense as a body recovery. And so that's the only thing that comes to mind for that specific area down there. And especially if it was on Sunday, that's what that would probably relate to. That was for somebody that was out of the area. And I don't know the status of that investigation as far as being able to release any more information. I do know our coroner's section has that at this point.
So there was a fatality.
There, yes, there was in that area on Sunday, yes.
Okay.
And that would have been I could tell you it was definitely somebody from out of the area, so.
Well,
Also, I do know that you guys have an event coming up at Ballard Park this Saturday, and we will definitely, we're in tune to have a presence in the area during that time as well. And thank you for passing on that information, Don, when you did.
Yeah, thank you, JD. It's appreciated.
yeah, there were a number of helicopters circling around in the Anchor Bay area there. So it was we were curious what was going on there. Thanks for asking, Don. And thanks for your reply, JD.
Yes, yeah, and again, I mean, there's been a lot of stuff going on throughout the county and so definitely some major stuff. So we've all been pretty much absorbed and working hard and long. So knock on wood, it doesn't continue. And I know the fire side of things are still looking good for Mendocino County, but as you see up in Siskiyou County, Clear Lake had a good fire that was kind of scary today that they issued some evacuation orders on, but we're still in that fire season. So everything we could do to mitigate that is very important all the way around.
How's Sheriff Kendall doing?
He's been very busy the last couple of days, and he apologized for not being able to make it here today.
Okay. Well, anybody else have any questions of JD? Okay, JD, thanks very much.
Good evening. Thank you.
We'll see you next month. Okay.
Thank you, JD.
Stay
Thanks,
well out
Judy.
there.
Okay, public input, law report. So let's move on then. The permit application we're reviewing tonight is the CDP 2021-0052. That's all one. And that's a permit for a proposal for a permit for a 1,300 square foot home or house, 165 square foot of deck, 493 square foot of an accessory building, 1,200 gallon pump chamber for the septic system and septic tank, and so on. So we have the applicant in our audience tonight. Council members Kevin Evans and Don Hess reviewed that along with us other council members, but you guys walked it. I'm familiar with the parcel too, so I've walked it many a times or been in that vicinity. I live up there. So usually it's our custom that we hear from the applicant first and get a little feeling for how the applicant feels about their proposed project. So if you're willing to do that initially, Ms. Alwan, you could do that, or we'll go right to the council members.
Sure. Maybe I'll just say briefly how pleased I am to have the opportunity to have a small home on the coast. It's really beyond a dream come true, and I'm thrilled about the possibility. I'm so appreciative of the land I've been able to get and care about stewarding it and care about making something harmonious. And I'm also really grateful for Kevin and Don's visit. I feel like they offered a lot of insight and were really kind to me about this process, which has been a little bit arduous in a way. And yeah, so just a lot of gratitude and appreciation for this possibility. I'm happy to speak to the building if you want. It's quite simple, and the siting, any technical thing that you want to talk to me about, I'm happy to speak to, but I just mostly have gratitude.
Okay, thank you. Kevin or Don, want to continue?
Don, you want to start first? Or you want me to?
I don't think it matters, but if you want to, yeah, I'll start and then you can pick it up. You're probably a little
Okay.
bit more familiar with the project than I am in any event. But yeah, it was a pretty interesting site visit. It's quite a unique piece of land that Ms. Alwyn has right on the bluffs there. And it's quite forested. However, you know, most of these trees are bishop pines, and many of them are not very healthy, and some are even dead. And what impressed me after after meeting Miss Alwyn was her determination to basically have a soft imprint on the land and minimally disturb things and be a caretaker. I mean, that's the feeling I got. And I also feel that her project could be a good example for a lot of development here on the coast. It's small scale. It's only 1,300 square foot house. You know, it's not some crazy 3,000, 4,000 foot structure. It's going to be built on piers, which is an interesting approach. I'd never really considered that. And thus, there's presumably less earth movement that has and disturbance that needs to be done in order to construct the house. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Alwyn, but I think that's the general idea behind building a house on piers. I guess that also lets critters crawl around under the house, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, as I say, I was impressed with her attitude, you know, towards constructing a structure on a site, which obviously being right on the coast, right on the bluffs, is a sensitive area, you know, ecologically. She's totally aware of that. And I think her project really takes that into consideration. Now, there are a number of trees that she is going to have to remove, mainly at the actual building site. I believe some of these trees are already dead or not in very good shape. One thing she did point out to me is that there are little sprouts of bishop pine trees coming up here and there. She is marking them where they are, maybe so they don't step down or something, I don't know. But she also noted that there don't seem to be any medium-sized bishop pines. They're either big, tall ones or very little ones just sprouting up. Nothing in between. She was kind of curious about that. And I don't know, maybe clearing out some of those bigger trees would provide more light to smaller trees to start to grow and replace the sick trees. I'm not sure about that. I'm not an expert. And in any event, as I say, I was impressed with her approach to preserving the land. By the way, whoever's making noise there, if they could mute themselves, that would help. So yeah, I really don't have any further questions at this point because I think the meeting with Ms. Alwyn addressed at least the concerns that I have in terms of you know, minimizing the impact of a construction zone right in this sensitive area. So as I said earlier, I think what she is doing here could be an example for how to minimize disturbing the environment when constructing a building in a sensitive area. And she's also going to have solar panels, which I think is great, so that, you know, hopefully she can have then an all-electric house so that she can use then renewable energy entirely. And I think that's another really important point going forward in terms of how people construct houses these days. Anyway, I think I'll leave it now to Kevin to add whatever he has to say.
I think Don just about covered everything. Ms. Alwyn's project is probably one of the most environmentally conscious projects that we will see going through our CDPs. She is the designer, well, the architect, if I'm not mistaken. So she's taken the whole property and really been environmentally sensitive, taking a look at the wetland areas, the ESHA concerns, If you read her report, it's about as complete a report as you will ever find. The reason her project was delayed from December is because there was an issue with the septic tank. And she wanted to make sure she got it right the first time. So she and some consultants kept working on it, fine tuning it, getting it all in place before Don and I would walk the site with her. I'm excited about the project. As Robert said, she is a neighbor of mine. She's probably a half-mile south of us. She's got a beautiful property, and I think she's going to do it justice with her construction. So I'll speak for Don and I, but we highly recommend the council's support and approval of her project so she can move forward.
Robert, you're muted. Oh, still muted.
You're still, there you go.
Okay, now, Robert.
Okay, somehow I got muted there by,
I
Whoever-
muted you and I muted several other people because I was trying to isolate this background noise we were hearing.
oh yeah,
If you
okay,
find yourself muted, just unmute yourself.
sounds good. Any other council members, before I say some or ask some questions, would any other council members have some input for Ms. Alwan? Okay, so I have a number of questions on your project, Mrs. Alwan, if you don't mind.
I think Mary was trying
Or
to say
Mary?
something maybe, but it was muted.
Murray was muted.
Oh, no. Okay. Oh, no, sorry. Melissa, I meant. I'm
It
mistaken.
sounds like an awesome project.
Yeah, overall, it sounds good. I happen to be involved, or I have been involved with real estate also as my profession here for many, many years, Ms. Alwyn. And I recall that utilities, water and electricity, are currently being shared with the adjacent property owner, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And then as part of the CDP application, it refers to an agreement to transfer property. Yet, between the adjacent property owners, meaning the two addresses there, has that officially been done? Is that what's referred to in the CDP application as a, in quotations, agreement to transfer real property dated October 13th and 14th respectively between adjacent property owners, you and 34600 South Highway 1. That is now a valid agreement and that has been subsequently recorded or not?
This is what it is. There was a nebulous area in the survey.
That
And-
was referred to as the disputed area?
Yeah.
Okay,
And at closing of the purchase, the nebulous area was described and it was filed with the county, and it's a flag-shaped area at the end of the bluff, and it was to revert to one property or the other, and in the agreement it goes to my property. So that was it's deeded, the easement was arranged, and all of that was filed with the county when the title was filed.
okay, so it did get recorded?
Yep.
Okay, because in that document, it says it was not recorded.
In a document from me.
That's in the CDP application, because the title company would not record it.
Oh, this is what it was, is that the title company didn't make another survey. And so they didn't define the actual parameters where the coast and the properties meet, but there was like a map, site plan that was actually recorded. So I think what it is that the exact parameters of that flag-shaped area haven't been defined. So the title company had some question about that, but the fact of who owns it was recorded. But it's also a little bit moot, because also what was recorded is that there's an easement between the two properties for the bluff. And that's what that negotiation around the flag-shaped area was about. So that allows me to drive onto the schoolhouse property to get to my property. And that's the main thing, is that because of the wetland and the shape and the way the property is, I couldn't do another driveway onto my property. So it's a roundabout way of saying that my property can be accessed, and that is definitely recorded.
Okay, that I understand. That's the easement that
Yeah.
I recall that from the real estate dealings that I had on it, but I recall there's a driveway ingress egress easement, okay, that goes roughly
Yeah.
down to that first telephone pole where the PG&E also has that easement down to the poles. But then you need a further easement to get down to where you enter your property, right?
Yeah, and that was all created as a single document. And then the title company had a question because the survey was not exact and we didn't resurvey it. So they said that portion, that they couldn't stand by that portion, but that portion doesn't really matter because the easement covers the concept of the share. So there's a number of elements of the share,
So
which
that won't be,
include,
okay, so that's not going to be an obstacle to your going forward with county building and planning.
Nope.
It looked like it because I read that pretty thoroughly in the application, and it looked like what you had submitted to this county, it still hasn't officially recorded. As
if
per the verbiage.
if there was a snag there, it won't be an issue because I definitely have an easement agreement, which includes ingress and egress and parking on the neighboring parcel for my parcel.
Okay,
There's no question. And I can send, I think it's in the package, actually,
it's
that,
in the package.
Okay.
Yeah, it also
and that's,
referred.
I have that signed for sure.
Okay. A record of survey map, it refers, you referred to your parcel as being 2.88 acres in size, and that's probably come out of all this survey stuff. But other records show the property to be 1.8 acres still. So
Yeah.
something hasn't gotten recorded yet.
Yeah, and 1.8 is also fine. And maybe I should drop this question about it's not a question, it's just, we have an agreement for it, but it's also a moot agreement because it doesn't matter because we're sharing the bluff. So
Okay.
so we added, that's where the 2.8 comes from, but also 1.8 is also sufficient to do the building. So
And it's
maybe
probably,
talk about it
I recall walking that property a number of times. It's probably concerning the face of the bluff. There's a very steep trail that goes down there. It is believed that the native Pomo Indians took that trail to get down to the ocean. And I got down to the ocean there one time, but it is a very difficult trail to get down to the ocean on. So
Yeah,
anyway, it probably has to do with that face, but I wanted to ask you personally.
Exactly. It's that face and then also the westerly portion of the bluff. It's both. It's everywhere where both parcels touch the water.
Okay.
Reverted to my parcel.
Okay. So that brings me to the next question about the historical resources survey that's in that packet, that 167-page packet of yours. So has a field study been performed by a qualified archaeologist and or the local Native American tribe? Have they been contacted?
Yes, Bill Cullen, who is on the archaeological board, he recused himself from voting on my application, and he did the survey. So that has since been submitted. They requested one, then he presented it, and they voted to accept it. So he found nothing. He didn't find artifacts, and so that portion moved forward.
Okay. I saw that there's a will serve letter regarding water. Water is always a big issue, okay? And I know the prior owner purchased the property in approximately 2005. I'm not sure how many years we've had our water hookup moratorium. It's been going on for so many years here in the area. However, the more I see construction going on in the area, one of my conditions on this particular application would be that although you've got a will serve letter that's been provided in the application packet, the county needs to confirm that the property, your property, or the prior property owner is indeed noted on the will serve list that was submitted to the State Water Resources Control Board back when the water moratorium was implemented. And I don't recall exactly what year that was, but when one calls the county on these matters, they say they can't necessarily officially referred to a will serve list, and that bothers me a little bit. So I'd also like to request that the county or North Wallala Water Company supply GMAC with a copy of this subject will serve list so that the council members, you know, when reviewing and discussing a CDP application, that we can verify a CDP applicant's inclusion on that will serve list. So that's just something I was concerned about and wanted to make sure that you indeed have a water connection to be able to do this development, okay?
Well, I can tell you, I have a will serve letter and it's an acceptable will serve letter.
Okay,
The Coastal Commission says that it's an acceptable will serve letter.
okay,
And California Fish and Wildlife has said that the is it the name of the company, that the North Wallala Water Company, that
correct.
they have a problem, that they don't have enough water to actually supply my legal meter, so that the state thinks that I can have a meter. California Fish and Wildlife doesn't think I can have a meter. So the Coastal Commission says that I need to get a well. I'm lucky, I just learned this 3 months ago. I'm lucky that 2 properties north of me just had a successful test well after 3 tries, and they found water. So that's the course that I'm going to take. I'm resubmitting, I'm doing a small resubmission of my Coastal Commission application, and I'm going to add a capped well, I think it is. This is my first time doing this. I think it's a capped well. They're going to give me a permit for that. And then I can go forward and do that. And then they will not allow me to move forward with my building permit or even my Coastal Commission permit until I find water, because the water meter is not sufficient.
The water meter is not sufficient for your small dwelling, your small development here?
That
Do
is
you have
correct.
Did Kevin and Don, is there an actual water meter on site at the moment?
There's one on the neighboring property, and you're not allowed.
What happened?
Oh, we just lost her.
Oh, boy.
Hmm. No, hopefully she'll reconnect. Well, yeah, I was kind of surprised to hear that you know, she mentioned this, of course, when Kevin and I were there, that she had to have a well, or was going to, you know, proceed to drill a well when she has this will serve letter from NGWC.
Well, there she is. She's back.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that.
Okay.
I'm with my family, and there was a breach
Is it,
or a limited.
is it getting too late for you? Should I cut down my question?
No. We can go for it. We can go for it. It's good practice for me.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that, yeah, it's not, my will serve letter is not sufficient. You're not allowed to split. The water company won't allow you to share a meter with a separate property. So now that the 2 properties have been separated, I can't just split that meter. I'm doing it temporarily as a neighborly thing because I have an easement. But once I have a building, I cannot. And now I'm not allowed to have a water meter because the water company it's questionable that they are maybe depriving some water source where fish are growing, where fish are, of sufficient water. So they need an alternative water source, and so do I. And since I need an alternative anyway, I think I'm just going to try for a well.
Okay, so that means you're going to drill a well.
Yeah, and I have to say, for 5 years, the Coastal Commission told me that my will serve letter was sufficient, and I was shocked to learn that it wasn't.
And that's a will serve letter specific to your parcel, to your address.
Exactly.
And it's
But
not.
the problem lies with the water company, not with me.
Yeah, we've had an ongoing problem with the water company being able to find additional sources of water for people in our area. I had heard that the parcel, you're part of a 4-parcel subdivision there. Those were the lands of Panat back when, the schoolhouse property. There were 4 parcels created there, not 2 as you suggest in your application. So it was a 4-parcel subdivision, and that 4th parcel to the north was recently just drilling for a well.
Yeah.
And I heard they did not strike water. They did not come up with water. So I want to stress how important it is that we in this community continue to work on trying to find additional sources of water, whereby we keep on allowing the bypass to continue and let other wildlife also flourish in our river, and help people also be able to realize their development dreams. So there are some ifs here, or some question marks still in my mind on water.
Well, I want to say that I didn't speak to the owner of that property, although I have to notice them. So I've noticed them about my permit application, so I can reach them, but I didn't. I spoke to their driller, the company that drilled their test well, and I also spoke to the planner that issued the permit for the test well, and both of them said it was successful.
Mhm.
I'm wondering where.
Let me check my sources again, and maybe you could do the same, but I'm just throwing that out there for all the council members to.
No, I would really like to know if I got bad information, because
Okay.
it's stressful.
I'll let Kevin or Don know what I can further find out on that.
Yeah, I mean, this is the toughest one, because this could block my permit.
I understand, and that's why you don't need any surprises. Those were kind of my questions, because I deal with that stuff a lot, but any other council members, or do Kevin and Don want to give some more comments at this point?
Well, I want to bring up something because I'll probably forget it between now and then, but when we talk about the water moratorium, what I just heard loud and clear was there's a serious difficulty with transparency with the will call, whatever that
Will
letter
serve.
is.
Mhm.
Will serve letter. There's a difficulty with, there's no transparency from the water company about will serve letters. We need to get that. We need that information, because we deal with CDPs all the time that have to do with access to water.
And that's why I mentioned it. Thank you, Melissa. Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
was concerning
we
me.
can talk about that in the water.
Okay.
Maybe I'll add this, which is that I spoke to their attorney, the water company's attorney, and they said that they don't like to say this, but it's the truth, so I'm going to share it with you, that basically will serve letters are moot. And I relied on mine for 5 years, and I feel like people should know that.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's called transparency in the law.
Yeah.
and they're not
Okay.
transparent. Bad juju, bad monkey.
Well, Robert,
Yeah.
Robert, I'd like to move approval of the CDP to make sure that we stay on topic here.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Do we have any concerns regarding the issues we just talked about, or do you want to just who's gonna write the letter, and are we gonna comment to the county on this or anything?
Well, I think past practice is the committee usually drafts a letter, so Don and I will be happy to put a letter together and then run it by you, Robert, for your approval. I would say if any of the council members have any conditions that they would like to add to that letter, to get them to Don and I, so we can include that. But yeah, I think, Robert, your questions were great, but I would like to really have Ms. Alwyn be able to move forward with this, and Don and I will be happy to address any concerns you may have.
Yeah, I think the only caveat we're facing with this particular CDP is the water source issue. So it's the whole project going forward seems to be contingent upon a reliable source of water. And in this case, it looks like it's going to have to be a well, because it sounds like this will serve letter is not worth the paper it's printed on. So I don't know
It
whether.
like the water issue is going to all come out in the wash, and we just say that we approve of it, and then the water does what the water does.
Yeah, we could say, I mean, we have a motion in a second. And we're discussing here, so we can still vote, but
Right, we
we
need to vote.
there are just some concerns and it should be noted such that we,
Yeah,
you know,
I think the water issue is not necessarily contingent. I mean, it is a contingency, but it's not necessarily something we have to mention because it's not something we want to see done before
Yeah.
this goes forward. It has to be done. I mean, you know.
I don't think
Yeah,
I would agree with Don. I don't think the water issue should really preclude us from moving forward. You know, if Ms. Alwan is not able to get water, then that pretty much shuts their project down. But I don't think we should use that as a contingency right now to not move the project forward.
we could just say something to the effect that it's subject to resolution of the water issue.
No need to mention any of it.
I wouldn't
Okay.
mention the water.
And then there
It'll
are,
either work or it won't work, but we approve. That's all we're saying. Our advice is that we approve of the project.
okay.
Right.
And
Robert,
only-
why is it that
You're
you would like to mention the
complicating
water?
it. You're complicating it way more than it needs to be. We approve of the project. Later on, the project gets the water from one place or another, or it doesn't. That's not our purview. We just approve or don't approve. I approve. I made a motion that we say we approve. It's been seconded. Let's vote on it.
I would like to understand a little bit more why Robert wants to mention that in the approval.
because it is in our purview. I think water is a big issue here in our jurisdictional area. So we need to know as much as we can about the infrastructure of these projects that are being proposed and are being referred to us. That's why. And just as we need to know about septic, and that's why this was delayed on this particular project until we got more information on the septic, as I understood from Kevin and Don. And the only other concern on this was that it was quite heavily studied for botanical and biological issues. And I would just like to see, you know, it doesn't have to be mentioned, but that there's strict adherence to the reports, 3 different reports, I guess, that were filed on this property. So that's not denying the project or disapproving the project. It's just bringing that to somebody's attention. But if whatever the council wishes to do, I'm ready to take a voice vote of all the council members, but I've said what I want to say.
Well, I hear where you're coming from, Robert, and you have legitimate concerns, certainly. I mean, we could say some of those things, but they're sort of obvious.
I'll leave it up. Yeah.
There's sort of obvious things that are going to have to be resolved one way or the other, especially the water issue before this project goes forward. So regardless of what we're
Right.
saying there, it's going to be an issue, you know, one way or the other.
True. And
You know, so you know, unlike some other projects that have come before us where we really say didn't want certain trees cut down, or we felt that there wasn't adequate attention being paid to certain environmental issues or issues.
right.
This is a little different, I think, from what I can tell by a review of the project and of course, meeting with the property owner. You know, those concerns are definitely being taken seriously. So I'm not particularly worried about that here.
Okay, so Melissa made the motion.
that We've looked at,
Yeah.
so.
So I made the motion and Melissa did a second, if I'm
Melissa did
correct,
the
Mary?
Okay, let's take a
Okay.
voice vote. Here we go.
Thank you.
Sorry,
Okay.
I was dyslexic, getting us confused. You made the motion.
No worry. I just wanted to make sure Mary, whatever Mary had. Okay,
Exactly.
Robert,
Okay, so Melissa, let's
Aye.
voice vote. Melissa, Dan,
Aye.
number 3, Henry,
I,
Kevin,
aye.
Don,
I,
and Robert. I'll abstain just because I don't want there to be any perceived conflict of interest there because I was involved. with those parcels. Okay. So we have a voice vote on this, and we'll have one of you two write the letter, and we've done our discussion of everything.
I'll be happy to do that. Miss Alwyn, congratulations.
I just
And
I
good
just want to
luck.
appreciate the rigor and thoughtfulness of this process. And I know that you guys are volunteers, and I'm very touched by that also. So thank you. And I'm appreciative of being your neighbor. Thank you.
Okay. We hope
Thank
to see
you.
in the future.
Thank
Hey,
you.
good
Ms.
luck with the water.
Thank you, Ms. Alwyn.
Yeah,
Now.
Hopefully I'll figure it out.
all
And
right.
Robert, if intel, please share.
Well, okay, I will. I'll give
Thank
it to Don. Thanks for staying
Bye-bye.
up. Okay,
Of course.
bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, let's move on then to council matters. Old business, is there any? None? Okay.
Mary's waving her
Mary
hand.
has her hand up.
Mary?
I have to unmute. Yes, I had a question about when will you be talking about the GMAC question to the water company? That there were questions that were sent to David Bauer, and he sent them back, and they've been hanging fire for about 2 months, maybe 3. And I was wondering when these questions would be addressed, if he would be, asked to a meeting. And I guess I should have brought it up in the water thing, but it is old business.
Well, that could come up under the water ad hoc committee
It can
too.
still come up, Mary.
Yeah, but I was just wondering when they were going to be addressed. They've been hanging fire for about 3 months, and so
No.
it's old business, so I just was asking.
Don and I will address it along with Melissa when we get to that on the agenda.
Great, okay, thank
Well,
you.
If we want a real quick answer to that, he answered those questions and they've been posted on our website.
Right.
They just haven't been discussed at the meeting, and the reasons why they were asked and how it was answered and so on. And he has not attended a meeting. And I thought that that was the reason why you were putting off discussing those questions and answers. And I didn't know if he was going to attend a meeting or whether you were going to go through those questions and answers and discuss them. I didn't know, but they've been hanging in my folder to be addressed, and I didn't know whether they would be or not.
We'll go on with that thought as we get to that water ad hoc committee on the agenda.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So we'll move on to 7A. We didn't have any other old business. 7B, Wallala Services Committee. We held a committee meeting on July 15th. Kevin, Dan, and I. And I did my homework, or most of it, as much as I could get done this past month. And I think Dan and Kevin did also. So where do we go from here, Kevin and Dan?
Well, I guess the first question is, with your information, are you in a position to share any information from that, or do you want to go to the committee and then bring it back to the?
Well,
Okay.
if you guys bear with me, I'm going to try to share a screen if I can.
Okay.
I hit share screen on the bottom, right?
Yeah,
And
actually
then
it works best, Robert, on the Mac. It works best if you have you go full, let's say you want to share a website, in your browser.
I put it in the PDF
Okay, it's in a PDF, then you're viewing the PDF.
and I put it on my desktop.
Okay, if you open up the PDF, make that PDF go full screen. Then you'll be able to click share screen and share that full screen PDF.
Is that so? Okay. Let me find it. Here it is. Make it full screen. Okay. It is full screen now. And now I go to the bottom of the. not sure where I hit shared screen now because it's taking up my whole desktop.
Well, if you have to go back to the Zoom screen. If you swipe left or right, with 4 fingers. on the
Or
track-
could I email it to you real quick, Don?
You can email it to me and then I'll display it if you want.
Oh, cool. Okay, hang on. It'll happen quickly here.
Okay, Robert, while you're doing that, you want Dan to kind of, if he has any information to share?
Yeah, that'd be great. You or Dan, yeah.
Yeah, I'm here. I had a nice long discussion with Jim Kugel on the Point Arena City Council. He thought the survey questionnaire was a very good idea. He thought his opinion was that annexing would be kind of a no-go, and that going north beyond what you'd call your basic Walla markers would probably be a bad idea. He said a lot of the rural community out there would, and he's one of the landowners out there himself, would not be much in favor of being a part of a city. That was my impression. We kind of wandered around, but the notes I have just basically said he encouraged us to pursue incorporation if that's what we wanted to do. But I get the feeling that Point Arena kind of isn't real excited about being a part of that process, if you will. I was not able to have a good sit down yet with Anna Dobbins. I've contacted her and she's had company staying there, and with the things that have been going on with Anna's life, I didn't want to push too hard.
I spoke. Are you done, Dan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Kevin, I'll go. I also spoke with 2 of the council members. I haven't been able to speak fully with Richie Wasserman because he was away from the area tending to medical issues with his wife and himself. But he's happy to talk further about this. But I did get to talk to Scott Ignacio, the mayor, and he was, he was supportive in anything that Walla wanted to do, but we didn't get into any specifics yet. And I'm going to probably take up another conversation with him. But it was kind of along the lines of what you had to say there, Dan, but not that specific. But I'm still working on it. Okay, so I just didn't have the time to get into it deeper. He did say that I should maybe talk to Paul Anderson, but I knew that city manager, but I knew that Kevin was doing so. That they, as a city, were looking into, we got talking about tourism, and they were looking into what can we do to keep people here, the city of Point Arena, and what we might be looking into doing. Employment, of course, the timber industry and he talked about a desalinization plant that was going in further north up in Fort Bragg, I guess. So we got talking about a lot of things that were off subject, but I think needs to be continued. So that's my input from that part of my job that I was doing there. I'll leave it to you, Kevin.
So Don, do you have Robert's information, or do we want to move
Go ahead.
to the questionnaire?
Show that first. That'll give you all a good idea what's been going on the last 5 years.
Yeah, let me give me another second here to.
And just to let the council know what was requested that Robert prepare for us is taking a look at the home sales in our community for the past 5 years to see if we're growing in new residents, how many new home sales there are. And part and parcel with that is because any new homes now that are being sold after Prop 13 are now being taxed at the new sales value. which is going to increase the property tax revenue for Wallala substantially. So that's why I was looking to Robert to put together a graph that would kind of show what our trend is in our community, not only for here, but I wasn't sure. Robert, were you able to get the Sea Ranch as well?
It was Wallala, Anchor Bay, and Sea Ranch. I got very accurate figures.
Oh, good. So that will give us an idea not only of the communities, how they're growing, but also the impact it's going to be on our services, all of our businesses, our restaurants, but also our safety services. Are they going to be able to meet the need with this continued growth? So Robert or Don, if the information's ready, let's take a look at it.
Can you see this now?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll explain it a little bit if you'd like, okay? I did the past 5 years, and at the bottom, you'll see what's going on so far through August 1st of this year. It's basically the number of homes that are on record of having sold in the different areas. The price range I describe here in red in the center column, and the total dollar amount that came to for the different areas. You'll see the trend when the real big years were 2020, kind of the COVID years, I guess. Unbelievable what kind of sales there were those past 2 years.
What is that final column that says total dollars? Total dollars.
Okay, 29 let's say 2017, 29 sales in Wallala amounted to 13 million, that much.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Holy moly.
Now geographically, I want you to know geographically, you all know Sea Ranch was everything south of the river, okay, within the Sea Ranch. Wallala, I took everything from Wallala up to Fish Rock Road. And then Anchor Bay, I took everything from Fish Rock Road, or Anchor Bay Town, I guess I should say. Anchor Bay Town north. I took to the Iverson Road area, okay? As Dan was alluding to, Jim Kugel's got property on Iverson Road. He would have been considered Anchor Bay because he's between Anchor Bay Town and Iverson Road. So those are the parameters I used to come up with the different sale numbers and dollar amounts. Now, I haven't taken it to the next step yet, Kevin, which this took plenty of time, okay? This took me quite a few hours. So figuring out, what that might mean, and we all know what our tax rate is in the Mendocino County. I'm not positive right offhand what it is in Sonoma County, but
it's actually higher than ours.
Okay. So 1.something% of the assessed value, or in other words, of the purchase price on these properties.
Correct.
And I didn't yet, and that's going to be a real involved project, find out which of these were properties that were owned prior to Prop 13.
Right.
So that's a big undertaking still, Kevin, and I can do it, but I got to have a lot of time for that one.
That it's obviously it's not a rush, but it's great information to have. So this is kind of giving us an idea on the property tax money that we're paying to the county. And that now leads us to our community survey, because we want to find out from our community what their feelings are about our community and where they see it headed. Don, can we put the survey up?
Yeah, just a second.
Okay. And please, if any of the council members have any questions or any additions or subtractions, let me know. I was also able to get this survey translated in Spanish as well, so we'll be able to get that out to the Hispanic community through Wallala and Anchor Bay as well.
I have a question, Robert. The figures that you had in that last thing we were looking at Those were for sales or for new construction?
That were only for sales, all
Okay.
recorded sales.
Because my understanding is with the water restrictions, that new construction is at an absolute minimum.
It's at a halt, yeah.
I
With
mean,
very
they're
few
putting up that prefab downtown, but
They're
down
on
by
the
Viola
well.
Beta.
Right, they
And
are
the
on the
bill,
well.
and there's a building going up behind the dentist's office.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a home.
So my question, Robert, is the water moratorium. I know that we have with Walla Water. But what is the situation in Sonoma County
There is
in
no
the Sea Ranch?
no water moratorium in the Sea Ranch.
Okay, so they can continue construction without
Correct.
any problems. Okay.
Correct.
My understanding is they have a lot more storage.
Yeah.
What's that, Henry?
My understanding is they have a lot more storage there.
Right.
Yes,
Right, they have a 30, well, what I forget they have a big reservoir, yes.
they have what we need.
Yes, exactly.
What was that picture of that rock? That was gorgeous.
That's just a screensaver image. Okay, can everybody see the survey now?
No.
Not yet, not yet.
No?
Well, it was a nice image. I'm curious what it was.
It's weird. It's showing up as being shared on my screen, so something's going on.
All I see is the window header for the internet
Yeah.
or the file. Yeah,
Okay.
there it is.
Here we go.
We got it now? Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Don.
All right.
Question number one, the reason we're adding the Sea Ranch to this question is because question number two asks if you pay taxes in Walla. Well, people from the Sea Ranch pay definitely sales tax, the gas tax. If they have friends staying over, they also pay part of the bed tax. So they are contributing to the Mendocino County tax base. And so that's why the question, do you reside in the Sea Ranch? Because you are contributing to the economy here.
Also, if they have an RV stored in Mendocino County, they're paying property tax here.
Right. So question number two is pretty self-explanatory. Do you pay taxes or no? The third question is we want to know how much, do you feel that Walla gets any taxes returned to the community? And if so, then we want to know, can you identify any services or infrastructure that the County of Mendocino has provided to our coastal community? I can tell you the groups that I've met with so far, no one has come up with any identification of any services that the county has provided us other than law enforcement is the only one true service that we're provided.
So people aren't aware that Bauer Park is funded by the county?
They are, but what they're saying is that they don't see that the county has spent any money on Bauer Park to maintain it, operate it. Yeah, none of that.
Yeah, I'm just wondering about this question number 3. I don't understand how anybody would have a feeling for any of those numbers. I mean, how do you know? It's just a wild guess.
You don't know. It's a wild guess because it's how you feel. And it looks like, personally, it doesn't look like the county spends any money on Walla. I'm unaware of what they've spent.
On question 3, I would add other behind the 100% other, because I put about 7 to 9%, and that's not even in there.
How are people coming up with the percentage, though, is the question.
It's just as
Okay.
it's been stated, it's just a random guess. Do you think 20%? Do you think, that it's a 50-50 split? Do you feel that the county is providing 100% funding to our community? So it's really just your emotional guess
It's
and,
about perception.
informational base. It's not a scientific.
Mhm.
It's a feeling. It's just a feeling.
Yeah, absolutely,
It's taking a temperature of perceptions.
exactly.
Yes.
Right. It'll help the committee in
Yeah.
getting a feeling from the community. I mean, if you think law enforcement is providing us with 20% return, then I think that's what people will put.
Right,
Yeah, for those of us.
and
up
you're right,
Sunset
and they'll
Drive-
identify that. Oh, sorry, Dan.
I said, for those of us up Sunset Drive, they patch potholes from the bottom 10% of Sunset.
Mhm.
You know?
Well, Dan, that brings up something else. In the past, is this on an annual basis? Is this over time, or what are we thinking here?
Exactly. They did
recall-
it for the first time in my knowledge.
Dan, were you up there when they had the big slip out on Sunset Drive and it only was one lane?
Actually, we were down at Anchor Bay Campground when that occurred.
Wow, that really affected all the people up there in
Oh, heck yeah.
in Enchanted Meadows.
Yeah,
And it took the county quite some time to get that all repaired.
it did.
Oh, yeah. So I don't know,
So-
a time element, Kevin?
I don't know. Do you guys feel that we should add a time element or just make it, do you feel that you're getting a return on your money right now?
Yeah, it's a snapshot in time of how you feel right now when you
Okay.
answer the question.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
That,
Thank you, Melissa. Henry?
I mean, I'll throw in my 2 cents. I will say this question rubs me the wrong way a little bit for some of the reasons that were just stated. I mean, I think it would be improved slightly if it were ranges rather than individual gapped numbers. So if it were 0 to 20, 20 to 40, 40 to 60, 60 to 80.
oh,
It's a little weird that there's nothing more than 100. I mean, obviously, I'm not expecting that anybody's going to select, 150%, but in theory, if people were accurately representing it and you questioned every area in the county, the correct answer for some would be less than 100%, and for others would be more than 100%. It's a little weird that this only goes up to 100%, even though I can't imagine anybody picking an answer above it. But it just because it is a question of how are you feeling? It feels less serious to me than the rest of the survey.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would.
Well,
I can't imagine anybody has a useful answer to that. They don't know what the aggregate number is. They don't know what they get. And I get that you're sort of trying to get to, well, what does it feel like? But I think attaching numerical percentages to a question that is essentially like, do you feel like you're getting screwed? It feels like a weird mismatch to me. I would rather have it, if it's a question of how do you feel,
Henry,
I'd rather have it be less numerical.
Henry, I agree with you, but the general consensus in the South Coast over all the years that I've been here has been that there's nothing coming back to the South Coast. That's where the committee was coming from, I believe.
Oh,
So what I like,
I agree.
So
That may be
let-
the feeling, but that obviously cannot be true. The two numbers that are absolutely incorrect on question number 3 are 0% and 100%. They're totally, there's no basis to choose any one of those two numbers.
I agree with that.
It's
Okay, let's
somewhere
make
in
it better.
between. And the only
okay,
way,
well,
the only way
ori-
somebody would have any kind of a reasonable idea of how much taxes are coming back is to study their tax bill. They'd have to look at the numbers, see what goes.
Well,
to
and the county
Coast-
budget.
There's Coast Life Support, there's Bauer Park, there's a few
Yeah.
things. in there.
Kevin, can I make a suggestion? And Henry and Don, we put less than 20, 40, 60, 80 or more.
That sounds good.
I think that's
Does that
better.
sound-
That's better.
Kevin and Dan, as part of the committee, what do you think?
That sounds good to me. I know you might want to start with a 0 to 20,
Uh-huh.
20 to 40, 40 to 60, 60 to
That's what
80.
Henry was saying. Yeah.
85.
well,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. I
So
agree
you're
with
in
you.
that range.
here's a question for you, the council. Showing how, or knowing how the public really likes to fill out questionnaires to begin with, if we start making it too complicated, and now they're going to have to think about percentages. This actually started with the suggestion of going on a scale of 0 to 5, with 0 being none and 5 being,
Right. It did
it
start.
was that, people are, and so if you chose 3, you're saying, okay, we're right in the middle. That's kind of how it started with the 0 to 5%, range. But then we felt that we should add percentages. I have no problem putting less than 20 or more than 80, but all of a sudden, are we going to lose people because they're going to say, I'm not going to sit here and spend time trying to evaluate based on the budget or, how much I pay and how much I get. Like Melissa said, it's going to be really just a gut reaction. Either I feel I get nothing, or the county is fully supporting me, or I'm somewhere in the middle.
Well,
I would much
those
prefer
lines-
that.
Along those lines, why don't we just simplify the question even more?
Okay.
And just say, do you feel that adequate tax dollars that you are paying are returned to Gualala in form of services? Yes, no. Why don't we just do something like that? So I think these numbers, these percentage numbers are kind of meaningless.
Right.
Yeah, so back to just a yes, no type of thing.
Yes, no, yeah. And
Yeah,
then.
yes,
but
no, or I would also,
a 4.
the 0 to 5 thing
question
also
is
makes a
still-
certain amount of sense to me.
What's that?
That I think the 0 to 5 thing makes a certain amount of sense to me, or, if it were, do you agree, like, how do you, do you agree with the statement the county adequately, spends on my community based on our tax contributions? Strongly disagree, strongly agree, or, strongly disagree.
Yeah.
Anything, it's the percentages that bother me more than. But
Sure.
I would say a yes, no question makes sense to me,
Yeah.
or a like 0 to 5, or a, agree, disagree. Yeah.
It would be nice to get a little bit more detail out of the community.
Rather than yes, no.
Yeah, 0 to 25%, 25 to 75%, 75 or greater. That'd be 3 responses we could get.
But I think I just don't see the putting in the percentage of the budget again, like nobody has any basis on which to answer that question.
Yeah, that's what I've kind of been arguing.
Yeah.
If we want to know is how do you feel, we should
answer
ask that.
Okay,
That's
then
my
let me make this suggestion. I think Don had a good one, and I think I hear what the council's saying. Do you feel the tax dollars you pay are returned to your community and services? And just go yes, no, or no opinion.
There you go.
Or adequately returned to you in services.
Okay, or adequately.
Adequately.
We feel that an adequate amount of our tax dollars are returned to this community for the services that we need, or something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
It'd be easy for me to answer that, but if I were to look at this question, seriously fill it out, I would pin in 5% or less. I wouldn't circle any of those because they don't make sense to me. I mean, they don't work for me. They make sense, but they don't work for me. I'd do a write-in of 5% or less.
Okay.
So yes or no would answer. I would answer yes or no.
It seems like the bottom line for this, and Kevin, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, is that we do want to know whether people feel that the taxes that they are paying, that some of those taxes, at least, certainly not all, we don't expect all the taxes to come back here because there are county-wide services that we also do depend on. But do we want to know whether or not people feel that an adequate amount of their tax dollars that they are paying comes back to pay for services that we feel the community needs.
Right.
We want to know that, right?
Yeah. And you're right, Don, the percentage really doesn't matter. It's, do you feel you're getting an adequate return on your money?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess the value in the percentages, which again, I don't think we should go with, but the value in having more than just yes, no, is there is a difference in being like, well, I don't think it's great, but it's close, versus I think that it's grossly inadequate. So
that's where the 0 to 5 would come in.
yeah, which I could also see that, you know, saying 0 being grossly inadequate, 5 being adequate. Where do you feel?
Right.
Something like that. I could see value in that. And I think people can more honestly answer that than trying to pick a percentage.
Okay, what I can do is we'll go back as a committee, unless we want to make a decision tonight as a council, but I know we don't want to really spend a lot of time going through all these questions, but we can look at and talk as a committee on the 0 to 5 or the yes no concept and see where that goes with the committee, and then we can bring it back if you want. But I'd really like to get this questionnaire out soon if we can.
Right.
Okay, Kevin, by the way, speaking about getting the questionnaire out, what was your idea for actually propagating this questionnaire in the community so that people see it and can respond to it?
Well, what I'm looking at is many different ways. One is people in the community can take these questionnaires and give them to their family, give them to their friends. We might be able to put it on the trading post. I don't know. We could also do it on the Wallala website. We could also possibly put it on the GMAC website so people can download it there.
The newspaper.
The newspaper, but
Maybe
also we have a lot.
Posted at the park.
What's that?
Could put some, you know, post some of them at the park on the board there.
Yep.
Exactly.
That would
The other
be
thing
going.
too is there's a lot of groups like Little League, the Lions, RCRC. There's a lot of groups that are really interested in this survey and are willing to email it out to their memberships. So that's really going to help get it out there as well. And we as council members, if we want to send these questionnaires out to people on our own email list, we can do that as well.
Yeah, maybe,
because I think,
maybe we could
What's
get
that?
the ICO, maybe we could get the ICO to write an article about this, and then in the article would be directions on how to download the questionnaire from the GMAC website or any other
Right.
online
absolutely.
location.
That's a great idea.
That would seem to be one of the main things, is get the ICO aware of it and then refer people to the website.
But I think we as, well, I don't know the council's true feeling on this because we really haven't taken any formal action. But I think if the council members feel that this is the right direction to go, then I believe they could also help distribute the information to their family and friends and ask them to do the same. And we could do it that way, because a lot of times I find that if you hand somebody a survey in a public setting, they'll say, yeah, thank you. And it'll usually wind up in a trash can. But if you give it to your family or friends, they'll usually take the time to fill it out. Or if you go to a group like the Little League, they have a vested interest in this. So that's something to consider as well. I did
If we're gonna
ask.
put it on the website, would it be worth making a Google form out of it, so that people can fill it out online as opposed to having to print it out and fill it out and then take a picture and email or send it in?
That'd be great if we could do that.
We'd get the
I
best response that way, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that.
Oh,
Have you,
There
have you
go.
ever used Survey Monkey?
Yeah, I've used SurveyMonkey. It's a little better. It's also just a little harder to set up, and I can't remember if you had if last I used it, I think you had to pay for it, whereas Google
Yeah.
Forms is
Oh,
free. But I don't have a
never mind.
particular opinion.
I've used it before. I've filled out surveys on it.
So
Oh,
Henry,
right. No, it's the setup that's a little more difficult, and I think you might have to pay to
Okay,
set up.
never mind.
so Henry, we'll tap into your expertise.
Sure. Yeah.
okay.
Question number 5 is one that I felt is important, and that's, do you feel the County Board of Supervisors is meeting your needs, your family's needs, or the coastal community?
No.
And that'll kind of be a good barometer on where we're at. Question number 6 follows the same line, is asking people, do they think that GMAC or the Sea Ranch Association or any other advisory group, how effective are they in meeting your needs? In representing you. So that's putting us out there to see if the public really feels that GMAC is a viable entity in our community.
Yeah, but if they're talking about the Sea Ranch, because you're talking about all 3, the Sea Ranch and any other board, and they feel that other boards other than the GMAC, and they put non-effective, and you take it as GMAC being non-effective rather than the Sea Ranch board being non-effective, then it's a moot point.
No, I think, Mary, what we're taking it as just a general consensus of local government. Because that seems to be a question right now, is why do we want local government? And so the question is, do you feel that GMAC and the Sea Ranch Association, and we'll be able to kind of delineate that based on where do you reside. If they circle, they reside in the Sea Ranch, then we know that they're going to be referring to the association, and vice versa. If they're living in Walala or Anchor Bay, they're going to refer to GMAC.
I see.
Okay,
I understand now.
Kevin, I think that these are, pertinent questions, certainly, we get related to the effectiveness of either the Board of Supervisors or GMAC or the Sea Ranch Association. However, I would like to see room for them, for a responder to make a comment, okay, if you think GMAC is not effective, why? You see, I don't think it helps us much to just hear from somebody that we're not effective. Well, what are we not effective in? What could we do better? Or what are we not doing? So if we leave some space, maybe 2 lines or something, people can write in or type in and elaborate a little bit, they don't have to write too much.
Okay.
Just give us some ideas of, where the issues are.
Okay. Good idea.
And that would be under each numeral you're thinking, Don?
That's what I'm thinking. 2 blank lines underneath 5 and 6. People could elaborate a little bit.
Okay.
Good idea.
Question number 7 is a really pertinent one. Are we concerned about the current state of our infrastructure and services in our community? And I did expand on that to say our roads, our broadband service, water, sewer, safety services, medical, and support for our local businesses, because we're all in this together. And I want to see if people feel that there's a concern or there isn't. If they feel everything is great, then that would be good to know too.
That's asking for an essay.
Well, no, we're not going to give them 2 or 3 lines, but yeah. Well, Well, and actually under number 10, we have any additional comments. They can weigh in on any of these questions if they'd like.
Yeah.
I'd use a blank page and fill it up.
Well,
I'd put a couple more lines under any additional comments, but also try to keep this to 2 pages.
Yes,
That
exactly.
way,
okay.
If we do have to, if we do end up printing and handing it out, we can, you know, print it on both sides. And
Yeah.
just one sheet of paper, you know, we shouldn't be handing out multiple sheets. I think a survey should fit on 1 page, front and back, and that's it.
I agree. And I think,
If
To
you
a
do that,
maximum of 10,000 words, right?
yeah, exactly.
right. Okay, if you do that, I want to see all the blank space between 10 and 11 for additional comments. No other blank space.
Okay, so we have to condense it a little bit more, maybe make it a smaller font. Also down at the bottom,
No, just
we could put,
less space around the edge
Mm,
and
Yeah,
and
make it a
print it
narrow.
wider. And there's a lot of blank space in there. Put all that blank space in
Right.
between 10 and 11. That's
All-
all.
Everything under 11, optional contact information, everything from there on down could be tightened up.
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
it could be pushed
No.
further to the bottom.
Now, Kevin and Dan, maybe we put email, and it shouldn't necessarily be just me. It should be the council as a whole that's receiving these comments. And maybe we put that email address to the right-hand side of mail, Wallala Municipal Advisory Council, PO Box 67, Wallala. Do we,
We could
what's our
probably,
email address?
probably-
What's our general?
we could probably set up a new email address just to receive survey responses or comments.
Yeah,
That would be great
it
if
should
we could do
be
that.
more neutral than just my name. I
Yeah.
think,
Well, you were the
I-
main contact
True.
on all of the communications, so that's why your name was
right,
on our website. You're the one, if anybody wants to email anything to the council, it's your email address. That's why that was added on there.
true.
So
But-
can we set up an email address of survey@wallalamak.org?
That would be great.
Yeah,
I don't know whether we can do that. How did you get that email address, Robert?
That we got that somewhere back when, and I don't remember exactly how, Don.
I don't
That's
know-
our,
I don't know where that.
I'm happy to help figure
Oh,
that side of
thank you,
things out.
Henry.
that would be
Yeah.
great.
Henry and I
Henry,
could probably figure that
yeah,
out,
But I think having an accessible email that's the council's email makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
okay,
I agree. The number 8 is really kind of the one that's going to let us know where we're headed. Are you willing to pay more taxes? If the consensus there is no, they don't want to pay more taxes, that pretty much does away with the idea of a community service district. Because if you form a community service district, whether it be through Wallala Community Service District or any other entity, you're going to have to assess all of the people within the sphere of influence, the appropriate amount of money to pay for maintenance and operation. And I don't think anybody right now is going to vote yes that they're willing to pay more money. But we want a clear-cut, definitive answer on that, and that's why number 8 is in there. Are you willing to pay more money or no?
Okay, I think that's an important question. It's just that it's very general. So, and if it was broken down into specific services, maybe there'd be slightly different answers. But what I mean by that is,
Well,
let's say, we'll just take Bauer Park. Are we willing to pay more taxes to maintain properly Bauer Park, provided those taxes are specifically and can specifically targeted for use in Bauer Park and cannot be used for any other purpose? There, I think if we asked a question like that, which is very
Mhm.
specific as to what the taxes would do, we might get a different answer than this generic, well, we want to raise taxes for services. That's very generic.
Well, Don, I would agree with you. A lot of the input that I'm receiving right now from the community is who's gonna take over paving my road? Who's gonna fill the potholes? Who's going to help the fire district when their equipment or their infrastructure starts to age and they need to replace it? So that's why it was kind of open-ended. Are you willing to pay more money to support our ambulance service, to support our fire district, to support our sewer operation, even our business improvement district? We pay money into that. Are you willing to pay more money for those services or not? So that's why I think we left it open-ended. But do you think it should be more specific to just Bower Park?
Well, I mean, that is a sort of a hot button issue right now is Bower Park in terms of, you know, being maintained in such a state that is actually, it's usable. And part of it is usable now, but other parts of it are not. And actually, I was up there a couple of weeks ago walking around, and it's actually a pretty amazing park, you know? You know, there's that amphitheater with a stage, and there's the pond and all the tennis courts. I mean, it's really a substantial park. It's just, it's in terrible shape, most of it. But it's a very nice park. It could be a fabulous park.
Absolutely. And to piggyback what you're saying, Don, if we extended the boundaries to include RCRC and their disc golf and some of the other amenities they have there, it would be just an amazing park.
Yeah, I agree.
So do we want to be specific on 8 or do we want to leave it more general?
Well, you know, maybe leaving 8 more or less as it is fine, but how about we put in a question specific to Bower Park? What do you think?
Or mention it as a part of the services that have been mentioned regarding this question in a brackets like Bower Park and ambulance and fire and so on.
Well, you know, I don't have all the details, but it seems to me that ambulance services coast life support, right?
Right.
That's what our ambulance district is, and they are funded fully, as far as I know.
Well, they're funded by an assessment.
Yes, it is funded by an assessment. So
On our taxes, yeah.
I don't think there's a problem with that. And also the fire department.
They're also funded by the people who are
funded,
getting served.
you know,
I got the build for them.
it's really things like, you know, Bower Park, where we're really seeing inadequate funding by the county. I mean,
and the roads.
The roads also agree. A number of them need to be paved, specifically, you know, Pacific Woods Road and some
and
other.
Clipping the verge so you can see cars coming at you through all the Scotch broom that's growing into the road.
Anyway, I would consider, you know, adding a question specific to Bower Park. Since that's a big issue, and I think that's where it could be really important going forward if we know that people are willing to pay some money for maintenance and improvements to Bower Park, since we don't seem to be getting any or sufficient funding from the county. Personally, I am willing. I would pay extra taxes to maintain properly Bower Park.
Okay.
And this was all kind of precipitated from the Bower Park research that Kevin and Henry did.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so it would make sense. I mean, the question also kind of tells me that, hey, would you want your local CSD to expand its powers and to include a park district potentially and assess you more Or do we want to try to extract more money from our county somehow by becoming a city? It's kind of what that tells me, this question, or asks me. I don't know if you guys see it that way, but it's kind of a, are you willing to pay more? Or do you want somebody else to pay more?
Yeah, I think if we're gonna get any, realistic answers where people actually think a little bit, we have to be more detailed, like, like I'm saying, Bauer Park, do you wanna
Mhm.
pay taxes to fund it or not? This, I'm pretty sure that if we let question 8 go as it is, the vast majority are gonna say no. Flat out. They don't.
As far as I'm concerned, question 8 is inadequate. It asks, are you willing? It doesn't ask, are you capable?
Well, you would have to be willing in order to perhaps vote on a measure that would
Yeah.
reduce taxes.
No. Are you capable of paying more taxes?
Well,
Are you
Property
saying you
owners.
Not
wanna know
everyone is
capable
able.
instead or willing and capable?
I'm just talking about, do you have enough money to pay more taxes?
Okay, but if the
Some
answer to that
people-
question is I have enough, but I'm not willing to,
yeah, if you have enough and you're not willing, it's been
That
the
doesn't
same
help.
as not having enough.
but I think what you're maybe saying is if you're willing but you can't, that doesn't help either, right?
Right, because
Yeah.
the question has nothing to do with me because I'm incapable of paying more taxes.
So I think maybe, are you suggesting maybe it should be, are you willing and able to pay more taxes?
I don't know. I guess I'd put no opinion. Because to the question as is, I put no opinion.
But would
And
you
to Bauer
rather have the
Park-
question say, are you willing and able to pay more taxes?
Okay, then it'd be a clear no.
Well,
So
the other thing is we could not even put the word taxes in here, because it would be an assessment district to support Bauer Park, I presume. So maybe we could say something like, in terms of a question specific to Bauer Park, are you in favor of a new assessment district to provide full funding for the maintenance of Bauer Park? No, we're not saying raise taxes, we're saying a special assessment district. I don't know.
Which would raise taxes.
Well,
Yeah,
it would, but
So what we really want to know, right, is if we want to gauge some level of support for something that might go on the ballot, because that would be a requirement, right?
Right.
So I think the closer we can match whatever would appear on the ballot, the more useful the response that we'll get will be. So do we know what the verbiage on a ballot measure would actually be? So it feels like that should be our template.
Henry, I would agree with you, but I think before we can kind of fine tune it that way, we need to find out in a more general sense where the public's mindset is right now. That if your property taxes were to go up, or you had to pay more assessments, or if you had to pay more fees for services, are you to have Bauer Park, or to expand the fire district, or to build a new catch pond at Walla Water, or do something with the expansion of the sewer district? Are you willing to, as a taxpayer, are you willing to pay one of those basically fees or taxes to have that accomplished?
Yeah, and I'm not arguing against this question at all. I think this is the most important of the questions in a lot of ways. It's more of a, so I think like if what you wanted out of this question, or sorry, not you, if what we wanted out of this question was permission or approval to sort of to try to pursue something, we could word it one way and get, and we could figure out a way to word it to get the, most favorable response. If what we want to know is, are we going to be able to get voters to approve money, we might word it differently. And if we just want to get sort of a general sense, then we might word it yet another way. And I think in terms of thinking about how do we word this question, what I'm not totally sure of is what is it that we want out of the response. Because just the way we word it's going to matter. We're going to get really different responses. If we say, if you say tax or you say assessment or you say fee, those will all probably be slightly different. If you talk about spending versus, bringing, like, it's going to matter. So I think the question of what is it, what do we want to do with it as an input to how do we word it?
Yeah, I just feel really strongly that in order to get a rational and reasonable response from people, we need to be pretty specific about what they're going to pay for and what they're going to get. So that's why I'm saying, if we are really concerned about Bauer Park, for one thing, then a question should be directed solely at funding for Bauer Park, so that people can say, oh, okay, I'll have to pay a little bit more taxes for this special district for the park, and I'm going to get something for it. We're going to get a park that is fully maintained, that is brought up to date in terms of services and facilities that it provides. So I know what I'm going to get. This is the problem with number 8. It's too general. It's too vague, and it's just it's inviting a no answer. But if we're very specific, okay, yeah, you're gonna have to pay a little more in taxes, but this is what you get. This is exactly what you're gonna get. Here,
But I get a question.
Yeah,
sorry.
Go ahead.
I got a question for you. So if we pose the question that if you pay more taxes for Bauer Park to refurbish it and then maintain it on an annual basis, I can see the first question being, how much is it going to be? And based on the figures that Henry and I reported that the county was talking about, was $500,000 annually to maintain it, and about $1 million right now to refurbish it, bring it back up to a reasonable condition. And that's based on the current rates right now at $500,000. So if we went to our voters right now and said, okay, we need to assess you enough money to pay $500,000 to $750,000 a year, not including a amount of money, $1 million to refurbish it, are you willing to pay that dollar amount? I don't know what that dollar amount would be. So
that's
I'm
about
wondering,
about $1,000 if there's 1,000 people affected by it.
so I don't know of too many people that would vote yes, even if they were passionate about Bauer Park, to say, I'm willing to pay $1,000 a year to my tax bill because I want to maintain Bauer Park. So that's
Okay.
I'm wondering if we shoot ourselves in the foot with that one.
Well, I think we don't really need to get to that point. We don't need to be that specific on the numbers. All I think we're trying to achieve here is a sense of the community. What is the sense of the community? Is the community willing to support a special district to support the park? We're not in a position yet to come up with numbers. We're not. That would require some analysis and study.
Sure.
And
Right.
maybe, and ideally, we're going to want to seek ongoing funding from the county, but not for the entire amount that we need. Because if we're willing as a community to come up with at least a part of the funds, then I think that is an incentive for the county or the state, I don't know how we can do this, to kick in money as well. You know, that means
Kind of
we're engaged as a community, but we shouldn't have to pay all of it, you know. But at least if we ask the question, we get a sense of the community, whether they're willing to support a special district.
Point of
Well,
information,
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Melissa.
I think you're putting the cart before the horse. You should ask, how often do you go to Bauer Park? I've lived here 5.5 years. I've been there twice. I wouldn't be able to pay you a nickel for what I've used it for. And one of those was for a CDP. I don't go there.
Obviously, not everybody uses that park, but I suspect.
Right. So before you ask,
If that
do you
park,
want to,
well, still,
you use it?
your point does not negate the sense of the community that we're trying to achieve. Certainly, there's going to be people like you who'll never go there. Of course there are, but there are a lot of other people who do go there. And
right,
my feeling.
How many?
It's just a feeling is that if that park was maintained properly and the facilities were brought up to date, there would be many more people that would go there. And there might even be people that go there from out of the community, which is an argument for the county to step up and do more to support that park.
I got a question for Henry and for Kevin. How Mendocino County Parks and Rec, they get funded by, they're a district, right?
Who?
Yeah.
Mendocino County Parks and Rec District, they're
Yes.
a district, they're not
Yes.
funded by the county, or are they?
They're funded by tax dollars that we paid to Point Arena School District.
Those that are within that district, they pay it on their property tax bill, right?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
And actually everybody up to Westport pays into MCRPD.
Everybody, say that again? Everybody
From the Walla River all the way up to Westport pay into MCRPD.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how far east it goes, but
Yeah. Well, let me try and draw this to a conclusion, because this is really going on out longer than I had anticipated. To leave it open-ended is why we have question 9. And would you support creating a more local government in your coastal community that would retain a portion of the tax dollars you pay to support safety services or infrastructure? That right there is either an incorporation, an annexation, or a special district. So that's why it's not saying we want to do incorporation. We don't want to do it. We're not leaning annexation or not leaning community service district. But what we're asking is, do you want to bring back local control from the Board of Supervisors to our community? And there are 3 forms to do that. So that's kind of what question number 9 is. So we don't have to get real specific about, do we want to form a special district, form a city, or annex?
Right.
Oi, I want to make a point right here. The discussions that you're having right now on the last 9, 8, and 7 are actually frightening me, because it sounds like what you're talking about is the gentrification of Wallala to the point that I could wind up homeless because of the costs of all these added things. I moved here because I can afford it. If you change it to where I can't afford it, I will be homeless.
And Melissa, to your point, if the community were to go the route of incorporation, nothing would change for you. Your property taxes would stay the same, your sales tax would stay the same. Nothing,
My rent
nothing
would
would-
go, my rent would go up to the point I couldn't pay it and I'd be homeless
Why would your rent go up?
because of gentrification, because of all these more infrastructure, changing everything. I mean, the
All
streetscape is
that-
fine. But what you're talking about would raise the cost of everything. And
No,
it would literally frighten.
Are you saying
that-
if
and
the
that's
park
the
weren't falling
reason-
apart?
What's that?
What I'm trying to say,
Sorry.
if the park weren't falling apart, that would price you out.
I'm afraid that and the other, it's just everything you've been talking about in 9, 8, and 7. Services, infrastructure, increasing taxes, increasing this fees and what are all these words you're using here? Assessments, things like that.
Right.
That's what I'm afraid of. Gentrification. I'm hearing my brain is kicking out one word after listening to the discussion on 9, 8, and 7, gentrification, which always raises prices, which means people like me wind up homeless.
I don't agree with that, Melissa. I think this is leaning towards people going to give us, this is a query. This is a query of our constituency, which is from Wallala River to Iverson Road. I mean, I just picked out of my hat 1,000 people that are potentially affected by $1 million assessment for the park. That's just take that off the table. We just want to know from our constituency, our greater Wallala community, what direction do you think somebody's got to initiate this process? GMAC is kind of doing that. And we're getting a feeling, we're doing this to get an idea what people, not just homeowners that can possibly afford more, not necessarily you or me, I couldn't necessarily afford more assessments or taxes, but if the people of the greater area of Wallala are going, no, we don't want to pay more assessments or more taxes, then you're going to see the greater community lean towards, okay, let's extract more, or let's put more pressure on the county to get money from them where it has been lacking for all these decades. And so then we're going to go leaning, if the community wants that, we're going to be leaning more towards the incorporation aspect of the whole thing. I think that's what the committee and the questions in general are trying to find out.
I would agree with you, Robert. Melissa, it's the people in your situation that we want to reach out to the most, the people that have the limited incomes, that we want to make sure that you have the services from the fire department, the ambulance service, that you can go to Bower Park if you want, that you have sewer services if you want, and that we as a whole community pay for that, not put that on the back of each individual taxpayer, but to get people's opinion that we can't afford any more money. And that's why we're doing this survey, is to reach out to the people that are not communicated, that aren't asked the question. And that's why your point about 987 is very, very important. It's the people that are going to be impacted the most, we're hoping, are the people that are going to answer this questionnaire and say, no, I can't afford to pay more money. No, I'm not willing to. No, I don't want to sacrifice my services. That's important to us. And I think we need to hear that and have that in writing so we can go to the Board of Supervisors and we could say, look, our constituents are saying they want these services, but we can't pay more money.
That's what this survey needs to say specifically. That would frighten me a lot less if someone were to, if these were questions were those 3 questions. Are you willing to pay more? Can you pay more? Do you want, those questions need to be on here. That's my opinion.
Keep it short and simple. This survey could lead to a more detailed survey, possibly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And if you get a bunch of no's, okay, we know something.
So Robert, so we can end this because we're really going a long time on this.
What time is
Can
it?
we just say that we'll take this survey with I wrote down the comments from the council. We'll meet as a subcommittee again, fine tune this survey, get it to Henry so he can possibly put it in a format that we can use that will be user friendly and not take up 5 or 6 pages, but really address everybody's concerns this evening.
Yeah, what about bringing it back to the full council?
Yes.
Well, yes, what we'll do is we'll meet as a subcommittee, do that, and then we'll come back to the full council in September and
Yes.
say this is, and Melissa, we'll get this out to you ahead of time. And I encourage all the council members, don't wait till the last minute. If there are questions or if there's things you'd like to see added, let us know ahead of time.
Right.
So we can kind of come together with a really good product to share with you. And because everybody's input today is very, very valuable. And we want to make sure we include it.
Thank
Okay,
you.
One
Sure.
final point.
I do
is
want
that,
Okay, Don and Henry.
Yeah, this Saturday, for your information, Bauer Park, Ted Williams will be there.
It'll be the third
If you want to
time I've been to Bauer
pigeonhole
Park.
our supervisor, that's where you need to be.
Yep.
Also, our state reps are there, and also Jared Huffman. Everybody in the political world that can have an impact on our community is at Bauer Park on Saturday.
Right.
That's why
Yeah.
I'm planning on being there for the third time since I moved here.
That's a big one, yeah.
Yeah, I can't be there because I'm out of town. If somebody wants to walk them by the spillway or along the walkway
Exactly.
along the pond, they can take a look at that. Might be
Okay.
useful. I do want to correct one thing for the record. Kevin, you were saying the $500,000 number for Bauer. The 500,000 annual maintenance, that was for all of the county parks.
Oh, okay. For all
and-
6. Okay.
Yeah,
So
so the
100,000.
the annual maintenance in their parks need assessment for Bauer, annual maintenance costs were 75,000 was their estimate. Now,
How
that's
much?
obviously aside from 75,000 annual
Okay.
maintenance. There was a bunch of capital improvement stuff that was much larger numbers that were one-time costs.
Okay.
The annual maintenance.
Thanks for pointing that out, Henry.
Yeah.
It's a huge
Thank you.
difference in numbers, huge.
That's
Yeah,
huge.
very big difference. Sorry, I didn't say something then because I wasn't
No.
sure, and I've been trying to dig it up on the county website, and I just.
I'm glad you
see-
did. Thank you.
That'd be $75 per 1,000 people, 1,000 property owners. That's
Right.
not-
You
So
know,
bad.
Very
when,
fair.
when you're talking about that, all of a sudden I see this a skinny big billboard, 8 foot wide, 10 foot tall with a thermometer on it, showing how much money has been contributed to help Bauer Park. You know those signs I'm talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah.
Yeah, hard to, you can't maintain a park with annual fundraising drives, so you need a steady
Right.
commitment of resources. Otherwise, you
Yeah.
end up with things like the 20 years that they didn't maintain the park, and now it's $1 million of capital improvements that are needed.
Well, maybe do that just for the what needs to be done right now.
Yeah, what needs to be done and then how much the county has put to do it. And
Okay,
just,
never mind.
and just show how much the county needs to put into it or hasn't put into it. And that's why it's a wreck.
Okay, like Kevin was saying, we'll take this on some more in our committee. And you guys continue to send us questions. And I think we've
Yes.
covered everything in 7B. Have we? Affordable housing report, community survey, Walla Parks report. That was kind of all encompassing with the exception of
Yeah.
affordable housing, but we might want to save that for next month.
I
Yes.
agree.
So should we wrap up this part of the agenda? Walla Services Committee
Yes.
report?
Yep. Move on.
Move on.
Okay, well, thanks. That was great input, everyone. I'll work on the sales stuff more too. Okay, so we didn't meet as a GCAP committee. That's the next thing on the agenda.
Nope.
You heard Tom is still quite interested. He chimed in before our meeting tonight. He's making sure we're aware that MCOG is going to be meeting August 15th. So I would suggest that Melissa, who's GCAP committee, Melissa, Henry and I, we meet somehow and think up some strategy here or how we want to attend maybe that MCOG meeting or give some say at that meeting. So we'll do that, okay? That's the only thing I really have other than to say, you know, we've been working at this whole streetscape for so long, for so many decades. It's really one of the most important things in town. It's the core of town. Everything emanates from the core, as we know, and we can get a lot of these things. It's funding that's not gonna, it's coming from other sources. It's not gonna affect us, but it sure will help us. So let's sit together sometime when you're back from New York, Henry.
I'm afraid I'm gone until early September.
We could do a Zoom
so-
meeting. The three
Okay,
of us
So it
could
would have
have,
to be remote.
with the three of us
remote.
could have a Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
remote. Okay, let's do that maybe in the second week of August. Just so we're a little bit
Sure,
more
yeah.
prepared before the MCOG meeting on the 15th, okay? Let's try,
That sounds
let's try
great.
for that. Today's the 4th, maybe sometime after the 8th, which is Monday. You let us
Yeah,
know what your
why don't
best.
why don't we, I'll start an email thread
Okay,
between the
okay,
three of us.
Okay.
We can sort that out.
sounds good. Okay. So that'll be GCAP for tonight. There's not much otherwise going on. Electric vehicle charging station, that's just on.
And
Yeah,
Mr.
okay.
Mayor,
I don't have any news to report in terms of progress because we're still waiting, you know, for the state to come up with a grant program based on the federal monies that will be made available. I think August this month is deadline for the states to actually submit their plans for how they're going to use the infrastructure money to build out, increase and expand the existing EV charging network. However, one thing I want to share with you is I was in Elk. It was about a week ago, and while I was there, I saw the Mendocino Beacon. Can you see this?
Yeah,
Okay. I thought, wow, state funding will boost number of EV charges in Mendocino County. So I thought, wow, this is
Wow.
great. I better buy this paper and read the article. Well, okay, I read it, and actually it's kind of old news. Well, not for everybody, but for me, it was old news. They talked
We're
about
all in Utah.
how the county, got this $600,000 grant or so for building out EV charging stations for their fleet, and also the Cal EVIP program, which was last year, in fact, and how some places were successful in getting funding for that. Notably, I think it's Harbor House bed and breakfast or something in Elk. I don't know if any in there, but they got funding for a charging station. It's public too, although I haven't seen it yet, but there already is a public charging station in Elk, and it's free. It's right across from the Elk store. And I use that whenever I'm driving by, of course. But anyway, so this article really, didn't provide me with any, in the end, hope that something was imminent for our area. We still have to wait for new grant programs that the state will come up to spend this federal money for. So that's where we're at.
Thanks, Don. How about the next item, telecommunications committee? I saw the video go up in 2 parts from last month's meeting. That was good. That worked out. Any feedback on how many people viewed the last month's meeting in 2 parts or anything like that?
Now, I thought about that earlier today. I should check into that and see what the numbers were, but I didn't, so I don't have that to share with
Okay.
you, but I'll try to get that the next time we have a meeting. Yeah, there was a little hiccup with apparently some misunderstanding or whatever related to how the posting for this Zoom meeting was made. I think we just need to come up with a standard approach and procedure for getting the meeting agenda produced in a timely way with the new Zoom meeting information. Every time we have a Zoom meeting, I have to create a new meeting in the Zoom application on the website. And so that information then, I then have to take the long string, the URL for the meeting, and convert that to a short string, which I use tiny URL for. So, and then that goes into the agenda. So really the way this should happen is that I do that, say a week before the meeting or so, and I send that information to Mary. Mary can put that information, the name, the URL name, tiny URL, and it's a fairly standard format now. It's tiny URL, GMAC, and maybe 3 letters for the month, and then 22 for the year. So that's basically the format that Tom used. I'll just use that format. But this time around, I received the agenda from Mary. It had the old June date in it or something. So I said, okay, well, I had to edit that document, that's all. And then I posted it. However, I guess Mary, you correct me if I'm wrong, Mary, but you post that agenda, the final, also in the post office, or I don't know where else. I'm not sure what you do with it. But the bottom line is, it should never be posted until it has the final Zoom meeting information in it, because otherwise it's going to be inaccurate and people won't get to the meeting. So that's key.
And that was my fault, Don, because I didn't catch it at the last moment. I mean, I saw the various versions of the agenda and I okayed the agenda with Mary before the deadline on Monday, not realizing that the June Zoom meeting instructions were still in there. And I should have.
I didn't realize it either.
I need to train. Yeah.
Somebody, one of the public members says, well, this is for the June meeting. What's the link for August? And I looked at it and I thought, oh my goodness, what's going on? I thought that this was the one.
Well, yeah,
and so
I caught that.
I got back to you. And then when you said, oh, everything's all right, I'm thinking, but the June meeting links to something else, I don't know what. So I wanted to make really sure, and thank goodness you sent me that link today. Thank you. I sent it to everybody in the public, and you had sent it to every one of the members. And I really appreciate that. And yes, I'd be happy to work with you to put the exact link up on that agenda. Definitely.
The other thing I want to do is, well, the deadline for putting for posting the agenda on the website is Monday.
Yes.
So Monday, I'm going to try to remember to do this now every time. Is Monday, I'm going to send out that link information to all the members, like I did this time. It's just an email with the typical format of a Zoom meeting.
Yes.
You can copy it and then paste it into emails. It's easy to do. Zoom makes that easy. And then if you want the agenda, you want to look at the agenda after Monday and before the meeting, and you just go to the website.
Well, I post the agenda in 2 places, and I also send it to about 12 to 15 public members who have asked me to send it to them. And on that agenda should be a link that they can click, because it says right there, if you want to attend the meeting, click here.
Right.
And it is live, because there are many times I have used it. So it is a live link. Click
Of
to
course.
that meeting. I could also add to that email your email with the very long link in it. And you
Well-
could have two active links, one on
They
the
have to. It's just,
agenda.
Hey,
don't
sorry,
necessarily.
everybody, I have to go. I have a alarm going off here, a weird smoke alarm, but I just want to say, we should be able to schedule a recurring meeting in Zoom that has the same ID. So there may be a technological solution to this.
Yeah, we
But
can
I
look
have
into
to
that,
run.
Henry,
There's
for
a
sure.
super loud alarm that keeps going on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hey,
Hi,
Henry,
Henry.
Take care.
thanks for attending. Okay,
Sorry.
Bye.
okay.
Anyway, bottom line is, for Mary to send out any copies of the agenda, that agenda has to have the current, Zoom information in it. Otherwise, it is invalid.
Yes. And I do appreciate your sending that to me, truly.
Okay, so should we move on to the next agenda item? That would be the Water Ad Hoc Committee. And that now consists of Melissa, Dawn, and myself. Hey, Dawn, I sent you another PDF earlier. Is that any way you could put that up? Or did it take a while?
No, let me see, if I can
It
find
was
that.
an email PDF, just.
Okay, the USGS data.
Yeah, just so people can get a quick glimpse of what's going on this year versus last year. And I always look up the bypass flow information from the USGS on the North Fork of the Walla River to see, how much water is in the river at the gauge is what I do there. USGS puts out that info. You can just go to their website and you can glean it that way. So
Okay, I think I got it here. You see it?
yeah, there it is. So real quick, folks, that's showing.
By the way, Robert, I'm gonna stop by your office and I'm gonna show you how to do this.
Okay, I'd like that.
And you should know.
Yeah,
And just so you can do this on your own. I mean,
Right
I'll
on.
continue to do it as needed as well, but I
Mhm.
think it's important that you be able to do this as well.
yeah. I was trying to learn it on the quick, but I didn't get it done mastered yet. But if you help me, that'd be great.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, so it's a 2-pager here. It shows where our river flow is at the present time. It says it up there too, 5.16 cubic feet per second, or passing by the gauge. If you look at last year's stats, 2021, on the next page, it shows you that we were in real dire straits last year. But again, this is all weather dependent, I believe it to be, after having watched this for numerous years. So if we get inland a little ways, the ridge and back, hot spells, it does affect the flow, I've noticed. So last year we were under 1.0 cubic foot per second. At the moment, we're still meeting bypass flow requirements. Otherwise, that's when officially, per the water moratorium, the North Walla Water Company should turn off its pumps and not provide any water. But again, the health department, California State Health Department, supersedes anything that having to do with leaving the flow in the river. So you got to provide for us humans before anything else. So I'm just saying that at this point in time in this year, we're still above the bypass flow requirement of 4.0 cubic feet per second during this time of the year, versus last year, we were already way under 1, or we were under 1, which was historically all-time low last year. So that's just, and I guess we should meet at some point too, Don, Melissa, and myself on this water ad hoc committee and discuss how we're gonna go forward as a 3-party committee.
Yeah, I agree. We maybe this coming month we can meet.
Okay. Any further input on that? So then we could go down, I guess, to the next item. That would be G under council matters. I did not draft a letter regarding THPs, but I did get a hold of Fogger. I spoke with Lynn Walton at length. And so, you know, she gave me a rundown of all the things that Fogger was involved with and has been involved with lately. That they, you know, we discussed working cooperatively together, and they have access or easier access to the THPs, and they even provide within their organization a report on THPs that they would be willing to share with GMAC.
Oh,
So
good.
Yeah, so I think if we, who else is with me on this committee? Anybody? Or it was just drafting a letter regarding THPs? I think it was meant to, I'd have to look at the meeting minutes from last month. I think it was meant to be a letter that I drafted to Fogger, but I don't remember now.
It was
Robert?
just a discussion, and then an email that I think you wrote or someone else wrote saying that a letter might go, but I think that it was discussed a letter last month and that it should be put this month. And then I put your name on it because no one else was on a committee to do that. And since no one else is there, it's your name because you're chairman.
Okay.
Robert, would this be a good time to have Terry
Yeah.
speak to us?
Let's not forget that Terry's hanging on there. So let's bring her in if she's still there. Terry, there she is.
There she is.
Hi there. Thank you for your patience. You want to speak on behalf of your letter that you sent us? Is she muted?
No.
If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I think the letter sort of spoke for itself.
Anybody from the council have a question for Terry, or?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. Terry, thank you very much. That was a very well drafted letter, and it spoke to the points and the concerns that we have in our community. So thank you.
So the letter, though, is primarily concerning the slash, right, Terry? That's left behind.
And the burning or same?
Yeah, the burning practices which are permitted currently by CAL FIRE, which is very frightening, and the fact that they have not updated their regulations, I feel, in accordance with drought conditions and you know, climate change. They're just not willing to change.
Yeah, it's
So
part of a greater
sounds like
issue.
something to talk about with our representatives at Bauer Park on Saturday.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yep.
It could certainly start there.
McGuire,
actually-
Jim Wood.
Good idea, you guys. It's are these state agencies really representing us as citizens, or are they just in cahoots with?
CAL FIRE is badly in need of reform.
Okay.
They're in cahoots with the lumber industry.
They are. As far as
And
I can tell.
we need
They're
to,
taking too many lessons from Congress.
So we need to speak directly at them with that kind of language, I think, huh?
Yep.
Okay. So we can save further comments for Saturday. How's that? Terry, you're gonna be there on Saturday?
Yes,
I will try.
All
I'm
right.
going for the hot dogs.
That's new.
Free hot dogs.
And watermelon, free watermelon.
Yes.
I think
That's-
there's little
I
cookies.
will say you're disappointed in the response from Ted Williams. He not only did not respond to my email, but when I approached him at the forum, and I think I mentioned this in my letter, it was like deer in the headlights, and I got nowhere.
We should all corner him on Saturday.
I think we should spread the word. They all got to be up there. Noon to 2, is it? Or
Yeah.
Yep. Noon to 2.
It was in the ICO today. I just wanted to verify that it was noon to 2. So hopefully a lot of people turn out.
Yes.
That would be good.
Mhm.
Well, the
Thank
reason,
you.
the main reason that we're having this rally is to save our democracy.
Right. That's
Is to get people to start thinking about the November elections and what we can do to, keep the Republicans out of control of Congress, which is really critical.
yeah. So that's going to be the focus. Come to think of it, huh?
That is the focus.
Yes,
But-
it is.
It doesn't mean you can't, hopefully pull one of these reps aside and ask them a question. They should be available there for that.
And the focus on Republicans isn't really the focus on Republicans so much as it is the focus on corruption and the focus of big money. And big money is why CAL FIRE is kowtowing to the lumber industry. It's all part of the same problem.
Yeah.
Money. Rich, entitled people.
Mhm. Okay.
Well, not rich, obscenely and disgustingly wealthy people.
We'll see you all there Saturday.
Yep.
Their egregious
Hope so.
behavior and vote.
So any other comments regarding this council matter G? So let's
Curses
go on then.
CAL FIRE.
Huh? What's that?
Curses CAL FIRE.
Light a fire under them.
Hold their feet to the fire.
Bad pun.
Yeah, there you go. That sounds nicer.
Yep.
Metaphorically speaking. Metaphorically speaking.
Yeah, really. Okay, then let's go on to the permit review assignments. We've got 3 of them. We added the one per the agenda edit. So we've got the coastal development permit boundary line adjustment that's been hanging there as per Mary, and we haven't addressed it yet. So who is willing to take on the Gypsy Flat Road one? I could volunteer on that. Anybody else want to join me on that one? It's right in my area.
Unless I can stand on pavement and see everything I need to see, I'm not going to do any CDPs because I've been to RCMS to have ticks pulled from me and taken my antibiotics too many times. I can't do that again.
I'll do that one with you, Robert.
Okay, Don, thank you.
That's it doesn't look too complicated.
It's a property line adjustment. So we've got to look at the 2 parcels that are affected here and delve into a little bit more. I haven't even looked at the CDP yet online. So all I'm seeing, it's a property line adjustment, boundary line adjustment.
And we just
It's 3
we coordinate
acres,
coordinate the
3
site
acre
visit.
increase and 10 acre decrease.
We just coordinate a site visit, then, right, Robert?
Right. We'll take care of it. So Don and I will take care of that one. Then we got one up in Wallala Court, the Jackson CDP, which is replacing an existing modular home with a new modular home. That one should be fairly easy, and it's all on pavement, Melissa.
Yeah, I think that's the one on the way up to Wallala Arts to the left.
Yeah, but
down the
you have to go
redwoods?
past Wallala Arts up to the ridge.
Oh, I don't know where that is, but my GPS Garvin does.
Have you ever been to Wallala Court? It's like a horseshoe neighborhood up there.
No, I haven't.
It's the
Um,
first road to the left as you top the hill,
Right.
coming up Old State and then Old Stage.
I
Who
haven't
would
been
like
up on
to-
Old State Road in a couple of years.
Mm.
I don't get
Well,
out much.
Who would like to join Melissa on that one?
So preferably someone who knows where the hell it is.
Yeah, I can always. send
Robert,
you-
I'll go ahead and join Melissa on that.
Okay, great,
Okay.
great, Kevin. And then we have
Send me an
the,
email. Send me an email, Kevin, so that we can coordinate a time. to
Yeah.
Will
go.
do.
and there's
Thank you.
plenty of maps. There's plenty of maps on the website of the, it's rather straightforward.
Yeah,
Um,
all I need is an address and I'll use Garvin.
Okay.
Okay. And then we have the other one, which is the Cuesta Coastal Development Permit modification. What did we say on that, Mary? What were we gonna do? We're gonna wait till the paperwork comes in, or you wanna, we've got till the 20th. If it doesn't come in before the 20th, I think we should still tackle it. So who would want to take that one on? Maybe Dan?
What's the location on that, Robert? I didn't get the address.
Island Cove Estates, that's that horseshoe subdivision off of Iverson Road. The minute you take a right off of the highway and go up Iverson Road, it's Iverson Drive.
Okay, Iverson Drive. I know where that is. I know somebody over there.
Okay, if there's not a second person to do that with you, I can always do it. It's
Okay.
a modification.
Yeah, I don't have the data on that CDP, so,
We'll get it to you, or contact me and I'll get it to you somehow.
okay.
I can get it to you if and when we get a mailer. I can also go on site and copy page 1, and that will get you into it. The site automatically will tell you Wallala, Anchor Bay, Point Arena,
Okay.
whatever, and just look for Wallala and Iverson Road.
Yeah, Iverson, I don't think Iverson Drive is an official road, so that's gonna be, might not show
Yeah,
up
that's an
there.
HOA road there. Yeah, so,
Oh, it showed up before.
oh yeah,
Did
it
it?
does
Okay.
show up. What
Yeah,
is it?
Olson, Holbert Olson is on Iverson Road or
Iverson Drive, and it's maintained by the association. I will forget now if it's an actual county road. I don't think so.
No, it's not.
No,
But it does have an address, and they have to
Yeah.
put the address on the CDP.
you guys, I better take a back seat on this one after all, because I have been involved with the Cuestas, so I don't want there be any perceived conflict, okay? So somebody else needs to help Dan on that one.
You know, I'll go ahead and jump on that. Knowing that Henry's not here, so he may want to jump in on one of these, but I'll go ahead and join Dan on this one right now.
Okay. Otherwise, we could maybe defer to Henry if you need to. Okay, well, then we've got our assignments in place. We have a administrative secretary report, Mary?
Yes, sir. I worked 25.63 hours for July. Materials were $3.15 for a total of $451.75. And I did receive my check on August the 1st. And so it didn't get worked until the middle of the month rather than the first of the month,
Okay.
for,
let's-
the check for June.
Mhm. This is a big check, so let's make sure we get this in. I get it in right away for you as the
Yeah, it's
acting treasurer or whatever here, okay?
because
I'll
the
get that.
minutes were like 3 pages longer than usual.
Right,
June's minutes were 4 pages long, really about 3 3/4 pages, whereas these were 6.5 pages long last month.
yeah,
So writing 3 more pages of minutes and then editing 3 more pages, etc., drove the cost up. Plus, I did 2 months worth of scrapbook too.
Hey, Robert,
Yeah,
I got a question on this particular thing with our minutes. Because we do have a lot of dialogue, some of it is topic related, and then others are additional items. I'm wondering if we should consider Mary doing action minutes and then referring to people if they want to see the discussions on it to go to our website. Because I think if we're putting out 7, 8, 9 pages of minutes, that's a lot. And I'm not sure if all of the discussion is pertinent to the topic. So I'm wondering if we should consider action minutes and then have anybody who would like to see the discussion, because I think the Board of Supervisors does that too, that they could refer to our website. Just a thought.
so action minutes, what do you mean by that? They would be more abbreviated or what?
Action minutes are basically, it doesn't take a person-to-person comment. It basically says, yeah, there was a motion and a second to approve the CDP, let's say the All-Win CDP.
Okay, right.
And what the vote was. And if people want to hear, you know, we might be able to put in like your items that you thought were important to add in the letter. But I don't think we need a lot of the presentation that Don and I did. A lot of it is repetitive. And I'm wondering if we could help shorten it for Mary and the public. And if they really want to hear the whole discussion on the All-Win CDP, then they can tune in. Just a thought, because I can see our discussions getting longer and longer, especially with 7 people on our, well, 6 right now, but
Mhm.
on our council, Mary's gonna have to print a book.
I
Okay.
do action minutes for the Seroptimus. The first row is the whatever the topic is. The second row then says this was discussed. That's number 1. This was discussed, number 2. And if there was a vote on number 1 or no vote on number 1, then the actions on the right-hand side would be number 2. So-and-so moved, so-and-so seconded, unanimous that. And that's in the third row. And it only lists what was discussed. So it would be, you know, the questionnaire was discussed and it was shown online. And then it was tabled until next week or whatever. And it's very short, it's very simple. And I can do it. There's no problem. I do it
Okay.
for the Seroptimus.
Okay, and how do the rest of the council members feel about switching Mary over to action minutes versus what she's doing now?
Absolutely.
Dan, it'd make your job a little bit easier, Mary, right?
It would. I would have to still go through it and make sure that I had everything because I have to state exactly what the Sampler Horn CDP states. I have to state exactly what the CDP Jackson states. So, you know, that would have to be in it. So it might be 2 pages rather than only 1, as I do for the Seroptimus. It might even pump up to 3 pages, but it's going to be a lot shorter, that's for sure, and it's going to be a lot more succinct. None of the conversation or none of the, I cut out a lot of conversation, as you probably noticed, and on the questionnaire, it would just be the points were discussed, not number 9, blah, 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 number 8, blah, blah, blah. It's just the points were discussed. That's all I'd say.
Okay, other council members, how do you feel?
I personally think Kevin's points are well taken. That you know, we really don't need super detailed minutes, especially, you know, some of these discussions we have go off in various different directions. And there may be a few salient points in there, but you know, we don't have to record all of it. Now, currently, and I don't know how long this is gonna last, but obviously we have our YouTube recording, which is verbatim. I mean, you just have to sit through it, and there are, we do put timeline indicators to help people get to the subject matter that, they're more interested in. So there's always that option. If somebody really wants to sit through the entire discussion on a certain topic. And actually, that's the most accurate way to know what any of us said about any particular topic. The notes and minutes that Mary makes are necessarily shortened, but when you shorten something to 7 or 8 pages, even that I think is not short enough. It's too long. A lot of people are just not going to bother going through minutes that are that long. I like the idea of a more summary type of set of minutes, where obviously if the action is taken, that is recorded. A description of the CDP that was discussed, for example, those kind of things. So whatever we can do to tighten that up, I think is a good idea.
Okay, Dan and Melissa, what do you think?
I think the minutes have been fine. I think messing around with changing it would, I don't know. I mean, I'm tired and grumpy. Don't ask me.
I could do both sets and let you see what the one set is compared to the other set this month.
Okay, Dan, what do you think?
I think the action item thing is absolutely a good idea. I'm on other boards and that's what we do. And anybody who wants to see the details can be there. Or in this case, since you've got a recording of the whole thing, you've met the requirements for documentation, whatever documentation requirements there are for a public board. I think we're killing Mary making her write all this out. I wouldn't want to do it. I've done verbatim note taking before as a police dispatcher, and let me tell you, when you're in a hurry, somebody going on and on is not what you want.
This is a set transcription anyway. If I were going to transcribe this, it would be 30 or 40 pages long.
Oh, minimum.
It's because court transcriptions are 30 or 40 pages long for a couple of hours. Absolutely.
Yeah,
okay.
I've done that.
Yeah, if we wanted that, we'd get a court recorder.
Oh, but
Okay.
I've done
Yeah.
Okay,
We
we're
don't need that.
approaching 3 hours now on our meeting tonight.
That's the
So,
point.
yeah, if Mary did a comparison and showed us next meeting, next September, what one looks like versus the other, would that be a solution? And then we decide at that point?
Sure.
That would be a good place to start.
Because the action minutes would take, I would assume, much less time to prepare, or no?
Yeah.
It does cut into Mary's income a little bit, I'm
Yeah.
thinking. So let's let her do both sets this time, and then we'll show it to all of us as a full council and go from there.
Fine with me.
Is that all fine with everybody?
Yep, let's go.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that.
Great.
Thank you, Kevin.
Okay.
No problem.
Great.
No problem. I would be glad to do that for you.
And then we'll make a decision, Mary, on how to go forward from there. Okay,
Absolutely.
so on the next item, vice chair report, we don't have a vice chair at the moment. So should we, as a council, appoint a new vice chair? Who would like to be that? I got some ideas. Anybody want to volunteer right off?
I nominate Kevin.
That's what I was gonna do.
I can script Kevin.
Okay,
I vote for Kevin.
is everybody in favor of Kevin? Say aye. Would you mind, Kevin?
Is Kevin in favor?
Yeah,
I'd be happy to serve in that position.
okay.
I heard the
Go.
train rolling by, but yeah, no, that I would be happy to serve as Robert's wingman.
Okay, now keep in mind, our bylaws say that every year we are to, in the beginning of the year, I guess, we do an organizational meeting, okay? So at that point, we can revisit. We're down an officer at the moment, so we need a vice chair. And then we can decide how to go forward. Maybe, what did it say in the bylaws? The council may reorganize itself as needed due to the departure of an existing officer. So if Kevin fills in the vice chair position at present, we can reorganize at a later point and see how we want to go forward in the new year or whatever. Okay.
Yeah, is there a set organizational meeting?
It's not on a specific date. I'm looking at it right now. It just says, at an appropriate meeting of the council members shall organize by electing from their number a chair, vice chair, and treasurer.
So
Sounds
we're,
like we could do it now.
We can do whatever we want.
you're out of treasurer, and there needs to be a motion, and I'm thinking that Mr. Hess made the motion and Ms. Finley seconded it. So, because
Should
they
I
were
take
the
a voice
first
vote?
two to speak. So I'm just inquiring, is that a motion
Okay.
and a second?
It works for me.
Let's take a voice vote then, okay, on the motion. And I'll go down right down the list. Melissa?
Let's do
Aye.
the motion. I wasn't necessarily making a motion,
You
Well,
weren't
do you want
necessarily.
to?
but
You want to back out of it?
if the motion is nominating Kevin, to be vice chair, I will move that we nominate Kevin, or that we elect Kevin to be vice chair of GMAC.
It would be,
I second,
okay, that's official then. Yeah.
That's official.
and I vote aye.
Okay, Melissa,
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
Kevin. Robert, hi.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll reorganize at any time you guys want to.
Can I ask one other question?
Sure.
Seeing as I'm on a roll anyway,
Okay.
is there any way on our agenda, because I saw that it's the chair, vice chair, and admin secretary have comments? Can we change that to just one item that says council comments and give all of the council members an opportunity to share information that they may have on an unrelated topic?
Well, we
Like Don would talk about the picnic on Saturday. I think that if we give every council member an opportunity to share something, that would be effective. Just a thought.
So a lot of times what the council has done in past years, Kevin, is they've given their public input as a citizen on non-agenda items at the beginning. But I like the idea of just wrapping those three up and making it council comments with maybe a subtitle of Mary's report.
I think that would be great as far as minimizing our agenda and giving everybody a chance to speak, and you're not obligated to.
Council member comments as the last chance at the end of the agenda. Okay.
Just think, if we're gonna do this, personally, I think if we're gonna do this, it's not a bad idea, but there should be some limitation to it. I mean, we're gonna do this, especially at the end of the meeting when people are ready to, wrap up. And then one of the council members, one of us, starts a subject that, goes for 20 minutes.
How are we gonna, yeah.
I would say a
limited-
3-minute.
3-minute limitation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Council comment, 3-minute limit. Okay.
I like that, Don.
Okay.
Okay, let's try that on the agenda next month, Mary.
I will.
Okay.
It will be there. You bet.
So do we want to go on to 12 now?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
How about